book number 25 in this Read a Book Every Day challenge was Something Wild and Wonderful. This book was fantastic. I loved this. I got it from the works I don't know how long ago, so I'd have only paid a few pounds for it. It is about two guys, Alexi and Ben, who are walking the PCT across America, who come across each other as they're hiking and obviously fall in love with each other. And it was brilliant. The conflict in here, it was logical, it made sense, and it was just genuine conflict for these characters, you know. They had a lot to overcome. They were just perfect. I loved them. I loved Ben. I loved Alexi. Oh, it was phenomenal. This is an MM romance I'm going to recommend everyone pick up because it was fantastic. And now I kind of want to go to Appalachia and hike the PCT. I know that's never going to happen, but this got me interested in it. This was a fantastic romance novel. Then I decided to go on a little Lucy score kick. So I picked up The Worst Best Man. I'd grabbed a copy of this from the works. I was so frustrated because I missed out on getting the signed edition that the works were selling, but I got the normal one instead for like only £5, I think. This was fantastic. I will admit, I opened it up and realized I'd started reading this as an ebook. I can't quite remember when, but I'd got up to the wedding and then not read anymore. So I read like more than half of this book. Like on the day as part of this challenge, and it was really good. Everything Lucy Score writes is brilliant. I'm thoroughly going to recommend this. It was fun, it was spicy. As you can probably guess from the title, it's about a maid of honor and a best man, but there's a whole kidnapping scenario with the wedding, and you then get like the relationship afterwards, which is really good. 10 out of 10 recommend. Loved this. Then I proceeded to lose all chill and read the entire Benevolence Trilogy in one day. These are very much of a similar vein to the Knock 'em Out series by Lucy Score. And by that, I mean the Knock 'em Out series, Things We Never Got Over, Things We Heard from the Light. They're called the Knock 'em Out series because they are all set in the same town and they follow a group of friends, okay? They're set in the town of Knock 'em Out. These books follow a group of friends, and they are set in the town of Benevolence, hence the name The Benevolence Trilogy. Book 1 focuses on Luke and Harper. Luke is part of the National Guard. Harper is just passing through town. And because of like domestic violence situation that Harper intervenes with, she ends up staying in town at Luke's house until he goes away on his next, is it a mission? Yeah, he's going away for sure. So they basically start a little fake relationship for a while to get everyone off Luke's back, but it obviously becomes real and they've got a set time limit. It's just really good. It's a great intro to benevolence and the people and the town. I really enjoyed this one. Luke's all gruff and grumpy, very much like Knox in Things We Never Got Over. And Harper is very sweet. Honestly, if you like the Knock 'em Out books, then you're gonna love the Benevolence series. This is very much like the first book in the Knock 'em Out series for sure. The next book I liked, but it has pretty much the same timeline as book 1. They happen simultaneously, which means you know what happens in this book as you've read book 1. I guess you could read this one first, but then that would spoil book 1 for you. I wasn't a massive fan of the overlapping timelines just because there weren't many surprises in place. You just got to see scenes that were omitted from like the other book because you're following different characters. But this follows Gloria, the woman whose domestic violence situation Harper intervenes with, as she and Aldo, Luke's best friend from book 1, finally get together after Aldo has been waiting for her to leave her abusive boyfriend for years and years. It's really cute. You know what happens to Aldo. He's also a member of the National Guard and he goes away with Luke. And so the surprise of this and, oh, Aldo's come back. Drama. You know what happens. I mean, I love Aldo as a character. I love the things that he overcomes, and I love Gloria and everything she overcomes. This is a really good romance novel. I just wish I hadn't had so many elements spoil in a way because of book 1, you know? And the final book, Protecting What's Mine, is about the town's firefighter, Lincoln Reed. Okay, Lincoln, I love a firefighter anyway. But Lincoln in books 1 and 2 is flirty and charismatic, and you love him. And when you get to his book, the payoff is brilliant. This is my favorite of all three. In this book, you have Mackenzie, who you've met in books kind of 1 and 2. She is a military paramedic who is involved with the whole Luke Aldo out on the National Guard incident scenario, coming to move to Benevolence a few years later, and she and Lincoln being in houses next to each other. Oh, Mackenzie's really snarky, and Lincoln is just a perfect golden retriever of a man who has the most adorable dog and all of these lovely nieces and nephews. And Link just sets his sight on Mackenzie and is like, this is her. This is the woman for me. I'm a winner over no matter what the cost. And I loved it. It was so good. It was brilliant. The whole trilogy, fantastic. Thoroughly recommend. I got mine as a set off of the TikTok shop, like all three of them together from Books to Door. So I know you can get book 1 in Tesco at the minute on their 2 for £9 deal, but I haven't been able to see books 2 or book 3 anywhere. So if you want to get all of them, I recommend, I'm pretty certain it's Books to Door on the TikTok shop that I got mine from. So have a nosy. Thoroughly recommend grabbing them, especially if you're a big fan of the Knock 'em Out books. Book number 30 was Fangirl Down, which I grabbed from the works, and I'm glad I did because I actually got to go and meet Tessa Bailey, who is here in the UK, celebrating its release. So my book is signed and personalized to me. This book is fantastic. I mean, I'm a Tessa Bailey stan anyway. I love all of her books. I love her writing style. This somehow makes golf sexy. I'm not joking, guys. It really does. It follows Josephine and Wells as the two of them fall in love. He's a professional golf player, and she is literally his last fan standing. He's been playing poorly. He's got a really rotten attitude. He's like the bad boy of the golfing world. And Josephine is literally the only person still on the sidelines holding her little Wells bell sign, wishing him all the best. And what ends up happening is he is really horrible to her. At an event, she walks away, there is a hurricane, and he's like, oh, I wonder how Josephine is. I hope she's all right. So he goes to check in, realizes that she isn't okay, and offers her a position as his caddy. So the two of them are doing this golfing tour together. Her, his number one fan, as his caddy. And it's so spicy. It's so good. Josephine is a type 1 diabetic, and that's very important to the plot of the story and her as a character. I actually didn't know, but I found out at the event I went to that the reason Tessa Bailey wrote that in as a character element for Josephine is because her daughter is type 1 diabetic. And so a big element of this story is the expenses surrounding insulin when you're over in the US, which was really interesting to read about. It's something that I hadn't even spent a lot of time thinking about because it doesn't affect me personally. And I loved that that was wrapped up in a very, very enjoyable, super duper spicy romance novel. I will give you a little heads up though. Marketing for this included an infographic that showed a peach emoji, which I took to mean we were getting... I don't know if I'm allowed to say the word on YouTube. But we did not get what I thought we would get. And this book gave me a genuine moment of pearl clutching of, oh, oh. I think I made that noise. I think I got to that point in the book. They're in the shower together, and I went, and I am a hardened spice reader, guys. This one surprised me. I tipped my hat off to Tessa Bailey with this. Not only did she make golf somehow really attractive and sexy as a sport, yeah, she also shook me a little bit. It was a great time. It's a brilliant book. Of course, I'm going to recommend you grab it, especially if you can get a copy from the works, because then I think it was like £5 or £6. An absolutely brilliant romance novel and the start of a new series that's all about different sports players. The next one is about an ice hockey player and it's called The Au Pair Affair. So I'm super excited for that as well. I'll definitely be getting a copy. I was on such a high from reading Fangirl Down that I picked up The Catch, which I also got from the works for about £5. This is the third book in the Influencer series by Amy Lee. You'll have seen books 1 and books 2 are about sisters, one who's a fitness influencer, the second one who is a book influencer like me. This follows their best friend, who is a lifestyle influencer, as she goes to this remote seaside town in Canada and basically falls in love with a fisherman, a lobster fisherman, if I'm correct. It was really cute. It was really enjoyable. That basically sums up how I feel about the entire series. I managed to get all 3 of the books when they were in at the works. This one's only just come in, so I do recommend grabbing it. But I also recommend reading books 1 and 2. They all are standalones in and of themselves, but they sometimes reference a couple of things from others, so they are best read in order, 1, 2, and 3. It's the setup. Or is it the setup? I think it's the setup, X's and O's, and then the catch. This was great. I mean, was it amazing? No. But that's pretty much how I felt about books 1 and 2 as well. It was good, just not great or anything I'm going to rave about, really. The next day, I picked up book 32, and Filthy Rich Vampire was amazing. The only thing I'm frustrated at is that it's the start of a series. So this ends on a massive cliffhanger, and I do not have the next book. I'm hoping that that also comes into the works, because that's where I got this one from. I've actually met Geneva at a romance authors and readers expo. I want to say it was Edinburgh year before last. Anywho, she's lovely. This book hadn't come out at that point, so I was chuffed to get a copy. I mean, I love a vampire romance anyway. The spice in this was good. It all felt very titillating. It felt rich. It felt indulgent. It was like drinking a really dark hot chocolate that had that little bit of Baileys in it for sweetness. It was like, oh, it is giving everything I want it to give. The only problem is it finishes and I'm like, I need the rest right now. it was fantastic. I'm gonna thoroughly recommend you grab a copy if you can. I really, really liked it, and I will be grabbing the rest of the books. I have had it hinted to me that they may be coming into the works at some point. So I'm really looking forward to that. Book 33 was an unromantic comedy. I'm sorry if I'm holding the book sideways, but it's because these shiny ones you can't even see the cover of if I have them facing forward. So I'm trying to tilt them to the side so you can see the cover art. This was okay. Yeah, it was fine. I think while the romance in this didn't really grip me, I just didn't care about the romance. The family in this, I really, really enjoyed, and that other kind of love being displayed was particularly good. It's about a relationship and sexual therapist going down to Cornwall for a family holiday. And because they're all renting a house together, she ends up talking to all of these different family members about their problems and about sexual issues that they have going on. And really, it was that bonding and them all seeing like her value in a different way and coming to understand what she does for work and who she is a lot more, like as they're down south for the wedding. It was lovely. It was actually a lovely read. It just wasn't a great romance. It was cute. It was funny. It was sweet. So yeah, I enjoyed it, and I grabbed it from the works on the 3 for £6 deal. So it only cost me £2, and I really enjoyed it. Book 34 was The Breakup Clause, and I actually got this off of the TikTok shop. HarperCollins have a policy where if you spend £12, you get free delivery. So I ordered a couple of books and yeah, got them delivered to me for free, which was sick. I will admit I bought this because I thought the cover was cute and the premise was really sweet. Basically, these two worked at a summer camp together years ago and got married on a little group outing to Vegas and haven't really spoken since. So when he turns up and they're both at the same law firm, no one around them knows that they are actually, on paper, married. And so it is this like enemies that they're basically trying to get a divorce without any of the other lawyers around them finding out that they were ever married. The banter, the relationships, it was so good. I really, really enjoyed this one. I will admit, when I looked at the product listing online, I thought the cover was nicer than it was. I'm really not a fan of this illustration. But outside of that, yeah, I really, really enjoyed it. And as I've said before, I got this off the TikTok shop. I can't remember how much it was, but it definitely wasn't full recommended retail price. I can tell you that for nothing. Book 35 was A Demon's Guide to Wooing a Witch. This is the sequel to A Witch's Guide to Fake Dating a Demon. This was fantastic. I mean, I'm not going to recommend you read it if you haven't read A Witch's Guide to Fake Dating a Demon. And I grabbed A Witch's Guide to Fake Dating a Demon when it was in the works. So when this came in the works, I grabbed a copy straight away. They are fantastic. They are so good. I love these. This gave everything I wanted it to give. It was funny. It had heart. I loved the magic system. I loved Azeroth. He was everything I wanted him to be. In book one, you basically have shenanigans are going on, but Azeroth makes a bet that his pupil, Osroth, is going to be able to get this other witch's soul in a bargain. It all falls apart. Azeroth loses that bet because, Oz falls in love in book one, which isn't surprising given the fact that it's a romance novel. But in this book, Az has to deal with the consequences of losing the bet. So he's kind of the baddie in book one. And so he ends up with amnesia and is like thrown down to earth from the demon realm, and the other demons want to kill him while he is weak and vulnerable. Meanwhile, Caladia, who is the best friend from book one and knows Azeroth as a bad guy, finds him as this amnesiac mess. And because she's a really good person, is like, oh my god, I hate you, but I can't let you die. Let me protect you and hide you. And they basically work together to try and find out what's going on. And it's really good. Enemies to lovers, forced proximity. They're off on a quest. Amnesia. So many tropes. So much goodness. And the next book is going to be about like their other friend Ben, who I love it. I love it all. Ben and a Vampire is the next book, and I'm definitely going to grab that when it comes out. Like, this delivered everything I wanted it to deliver. It was so good, and I got it cheap from the works. So, slays all around. The next book, however, Mr. Hockey, I absolutely hated. The Lord giveth and the Lord taketh away. Okay, I grabbed this from the works as well, so at least I didn't spend full recommended retail price getting my hands on it. She is a librarian and he is a hockey player, and she's his number one fan, and she pretends not to recognize him when they're introduced by her sister. And he's like, wow, what a down-to-earth, cool woman. Insta love. And like literally, I think the whole book only takes place over a couple of days. It's that kind of like, this happens and this happens, then this happens, and then they all live happily ever after. I was just unimpressed. I'm glad it was a little book. I'll be honest, I'm not gonna go through the effort to get the next one in the series. I didn't enjoy it. There you go. Pretty short review of that one. But then something great happened. I went in to collect an order from the works, and they had the entire Liz Tomford Windy City books that are out so far collection in. So, in a single day, I proceeded to read all 3 of the Windy City books that are out at the minute. Mile High follows a stewardess called Stevie and an ice hockey player called Xander. It is a super duper spicy, will they, won't they, kind of workplace, but not workplace romance with professional ice hockey players. It was just so good. I loved Stevie. I loved Xander. My expectations of these were high because everyone raves about these books so much, but they absolutely stuck the landing. This was so good. So I jumped straight into reading book 2 in the series, The Right Move, which is all about Stevie's twin brother and her best friend, Indy, who become flatmates when Stevie moves out of the apartment to go live with Xander's. This one was so cute. Ryan is like pitched as this new younger version of Michael Jordan who takes work really, really seriously and is this really high octane, black and white thinking basketball player. And Indigo's just really sweet and vibrant and lovely. And this was brilliant. I love this. Best friends, brothers, roommate romance. It's also fake dating, by the way. He asks Indigo to pretend to be his girlfriend for work, and they just end up bringing work-life balance into each other's lives. It's so cute. And even though it was like 9 o'clock at night at this point, I had to pick up Caught Up. Okay, this is the third book, and it follows Kai, who lives in the same apartment building as the main characters. He is a baseball player and a single dad. Miller is the daughter of like the head coach of his baseball team, and she's there taking like a career break from her work as this like super duper famous dessert chef for Michelin star restaurants, and she acts as like Kai's nanny for the summer. And so it's like my coach's daughter, but also a nanny romance. Oh, it's so good. So brilliant. And I cannot wait for the next book to come out, which follows Isaiah, who's Kai's younger brother, and their like team PT. Oh, Kennedy's so lovely as well. Like that one's gonna be so good. All of these were fantastic. Collectively, all of these cost me £15 because they were £5 each. And I'm going to get to meet Liz Tomford later this year when she comes to the Romance Authors and Readers Expo in Edinburgh. So I'm getting these signed. Oh, honestly, these were fantastic. I thoroughly recommend you grab these if you can. These Liz Tomford books are insanely good. I was then convinced by a TikTok to read Failure to Thrive. If I turn it towards you, the screen goes white. So I'm going to hold it to the side. This was okay. I'm not going to recommend you go out of your way to get it. You know, it was about a woman who ends up being her sister's boss's nanny and obviously ends up falling in love with him. It was just okay. It was fine. It was fine. It was not bad. But yeah, I'm not going to say, oh my God, go and find this Elle Revers book. You know, it was just okay. Book number 41 was The Takedown, and I loved this. I got it from the works, so it was nice and cheap. But this read like a spy rom-com movie. It had that cinematic flair to it. She works for the CIA, but then she does a project for the FBI when she found out that her sister is engaged to a real bad guy. And so she gets sent back with all of this equipment and is told to like protect her family and try to, but don't tell them anything about the mission. And obviously she ends up falling for the best man who may not be who he seems to be. It was so cool. It's like a buddy spy. Oh, so good. I don't want to spoil too much of it, but it was really good. And very much a story about how lots of us sacrifice parts of ourselves to succeed at work, and that our best and most authentic selves are probably the people we are when we can switch off and be surrounded by family and the people we feel safe with. And, you know, Sydney in this, she's very much put in the position where those two worlds collide, and, you know, she's just trying to make it through. It's messy in like the best way, and it has some real heart, and it's like, you know, is work that important? Isn't family what matters? It's kind of the vibe. It was great. I loved it. After that, I decided to read another ebook, which is The Secret Fiancée by Katerina Mora. I love Katerina Mora. This entire series is insane. It's brilliant. If you haven't read any of them, what are you playing at? I have like the first chunk of books that I bought from the Romance Authors and Readers Expo in London, and Katerina Mora is going to be at the Romance Authors and Readers Expo in Edinburgh, so I'm going to get physical copies of the rest of the books for her to sign there. So I read this as an ebook because I didn't want to wait, but it's brilliant. It's so cool. The idea is that the Windsor family in all of these books, the children, they all have arranged marriages. And in this one, the youngest brother finds out who it is he's meant to be marrying ahead of time. So he wants to go and see her before she discovers the fact that, you know, they're fiancés. And that kind of ends up being a really bad shout in the long run because he's lied to her. It's really, really, really good. All Katerina Mora books are fantastic, and I loved this one. I don't want to spoil it too much. I've obviously got the ebook, and I'm gonna get the physical book as part of Katerina's pre-orders for Rare, which not all of you are going to be able to do. But yeah, if you see this or you can get your hands on it, definitely do. It was wicked, but I recommend getting all the others first because they happen one kind of after the other, and then some of them kind of overlap. So I recommend reading this series in order. I can't remember what number in the series this one is, but all of them are fantastic. I'm going to recommend all of them to you. Anything by Katerina Mora is brilliant. Kind of wasn't enough for me, those two. So I was like, I'm gonna push through, and this will be the only, and it was the only 4-book day of the challenge. So book 43, I read on the exact same day. I grabbed Every Which Way from the works as part of their 3 for £6 deal, and it was fantastic. Isa basically conjures a genie, who's this guy, Beckett, and she wishes basically for her to meet like a real life Mr. Darcy. And Beckett is kind of like helping her woo him because her real wish is kind of for true love. But it all gets super messy, and obviously it's Isa and Beckett, like from the get-go, you are like, now kiss. They're enemies who are like forced proximity, who have to work together. Like, oh, it's so, so good. Loved it. It's one of the most successful. Like, it ends up. No, I can't even tell you what kind of story it is because that'll spoil the plot. But it's really, really good. You can get it at the works for cheap. Like, don't let the cover fool you. This is really, really good. It moved me in many ways. And the moment I finished that up, I was in such a good mood. I picked up Witch You Weren't Here. I was very much on like a magical kick. This is about 2 witches, Kay and Harry, who grew up together. Harry was very much Kay's older brother's best friend, and they were former friends to enemies. Now they are both traveling back for her brother's wedding in their hometown, like together. They see each other at the airport, like bump into each other, and it's like, oh, let's travel back together. And let's just say they reconnect. But for sure. It was good. I'm not going to say, oh my God, it was amazing, but I blitzed through this. It was very bingeable. And I liked the setting. I liked the magic system. I really liked Kay. She was a really cool MC, and Harry was very sweet. So yeah, thoroughly enjoyed this one. And it's another one I got from the works on the 3 for £6 deal. So winner, chicken dinner. We don't have that many more to go, guys. I promise we're near the end. Next up, I took a day to just focus on TL Swan books and read the Miles High series. I actually got these books off of Vinted because TL Swan was going to be at Rare Edinburgh and now she's not. Sadness. But these were fantastic. Okay, book 1. They're all about like billionaire brothers, by the way. They're about the Miles siblings. Book 1 is about a one-night stand that happens on these like a transatlantic flight, and like a year later she gets a new job and he ends up being her new boss. it's so good. The spice is fantastic. We've got a real bossy, grumpy, assertive, macho man MC as well. I love Jim. It's brilliant. You're gonna love this one. Jameson is great. Book 2 follows his younger brother Tristan, and it is a single mom. Like she's a widow romance, and they're kind of enemies because he's tried to buy her business after her husband dies. And yeah, she's got 3 sons, the oldest of whom is like a teenager. And Tristan and her basically get together at a conference, and it's so good. Tristan of the brothers is my favorite. This is my favorite of the romances. He's really sweet. He's really funny. The kids are hilarious because they hate him. They really put him through the ringer. But he's like, no, I've met her, the woman I want to be with. I don't care if she's already got kids or they're my kids. It's just, it's brilliant. This one's my favorite. This is so good. Book 3's actually The Casanova, which I do have a physical copy of, but I opened it up and was like, I know this place. And it turns out I've read that before. as an ebook. I just didn't recognize it as the Casanova that I'd read. But that one's about the third brother, Elliot, he works in marketing. He's really into art, and he's basically obsessed with this artist, and he starts a workplace romance with one of his employees. And I don't want to spoil the twist, but his interest in this particular artist and his relationship with her, it all comes to a head in a really, really good way. I loved Elliot's book, but obviously I didn't have to read it as part of this challenge because I opened the book and was like, oh, I've already read this one. Brilliant. I could skip ahead. So you can for sure read each of these as a standalone. And I'm not exaggerating there. You're totally fine to do that because I did by accident. But I did read the final book, The Do-Over. This is the youngest brother, Christopher's story. And he is basically incredibly spoiled. And the brothers are teasing him about that. So he decides to go on like an adult gap year and pretends to not be who he really is, which is this super famous billionaire, and finds like the perfect woman who obviously does not know that he is a secret billionaire. So they're backpacking. That bit of their romance is really sweet. And then obviously they have to overcome the hurdle of the fact that he's been lying for a year. They're away for a year. And so they're like backpacking year ends. They come home and it's like, oh yeah, your boyfriend who you've been with for like such a long time at this point. Yeah, he's got something to tell you. it's it's brilliant. Actually, they're all fantastic. I loved these. They can be quite expensive to get a hold of though, hence why I grabbed mine off Vinted. So keep your eyes peeled to get yourself copies. But yeah, I'm gonna love them. If you love a billionaire romance, these are particularly good ones, you know. Number 48 was Better Off Wed by Portia McIntosh. In case you haven't heard me talk about her before, I love Portia. Portia is fantastic. She writes the most delicious little rom-coms. Like the other Portia McIntosh books I've got, this one was in at the works, so I grabbed it as part of the 3 for £6 deal. This one is fantastic. It's about a wedding, I think down in Cornwall. I'm going to say Cornwall, but that could be me confusing it. It's down in the south by the seaside, I think in Cornwall. And you basically have Olivia and her twin brother both wanting to get married at the venue their grandfather built. So there's a bit of a time pressure on it. There's only one date available. Both of them are engaged. And so they agreed to have a double wedding. And Teddy, who's Olivia's fiance, he's just like never there. He's never around. He's not helping with this last minute, like basically last minute wedding that they're trying to do before the venue of their dreams gets demolished. They're like instantly questioning what's Teddy's motivation for proposing to Olivia. She's not really 100% set on marrying him. And then they're all heading down. They go like down to Cornwall a few weeks before the wedding to start getting everything ready. And let's just say Olivia is preparing for her wedding and meets someone else. And the question is like, will they, won't they? Will the wedding happen? Why does Teddy want to marry her? What's going on? Oh, it was good. It was funny. It was delicious, actually. I really, really enjoyed it. Like I've enjoyed every Portia McIntosh book I've read, and I only paid £2 for it, which was brilliant. My penultimate day of reading had me picking up the London's Calling books by Alexis Hall. These two follow Luke and Oliver, who basically decide to fake date because Luke is getting a bad reputation in the press. He is the son of a former rock star who is, you know, having a career resurgence because he's taking part in like a modern day equivalent of the X Factor. So Luke gets in the newspapers quite a bit and is like, I need a boyfriend to help me rehab my public image. So his friend Bridget says, oh, you should fake date Oliver, who is a criminal defense barrister. It's kind of a mess. Oliver's very serious. And if you liked Red, White, and Royal Blue, you're gonna prefer this 100% because this is so good. Okay, book 1 is them fake dating and then obviously having real feelings, and then book 2 is kind of structurally, well, it is based off of 4 weddings and a funeral because you have 4 weddings and a funeral happen in it. It's so good. There's real heart there. They are colorful. They are vibrant. They are books about finding the person that gets you. You don't have to be the same on paper to have the important things in common. You know, they each think that they're lucky to be with the other person and they're grateful to be with each other. And it's so lovely. It's so wonderful. I love these so much. I love Luke and Oliver. These books were fantastic. I actually got them when they were in Waterstones. It was like a random impulse buy. So I paid, I hate to say it, full price for these, but they were definitely worth it. I loved these. Yeah, they were really, really good. I've got a couple of other Alexis Hall books that I am actually now going to dust off from my shelves and bother reading because I love these so much. And then last but not least, because this is a leap year, I had to read Once Upon a Leap Year. This is yet again a book I was given at the influencer Date with a Book event that I headed to at the beginning of the month that I saved for Leap Day because of the premise and the title. If you like One Day, whether the book or the show, but you wish it was a romance in the technical definition of being a romance novel, this is the book for you. Lucy and Noah are both leaplings, so their birthday is on Leap Day and they meet at university on their birthday. And this book basically jumps forward every 4 years. It shows you texts and emails and voicemail transcripts from the years in between, but you see them every 4 years as their friendship evolves, changes for the better, for the worse throughout the years. And what no one had told me, and I loved, I'm reading this on the 29th of February 2024, and that's one of the leap days in this. Like it does like this year as one of them, and then you get a 4 years in the future. So it was fantastic because I opened up to see Feb 29th, 2024, and freaked out because of the leap days. It's, you know, it's the one that you've been looking forward to all the way through the book, and I was like, ah, it's today, it's happening today. And I was like ridiculously happy about that. It was cute. It was sweet. I liked the friend group. I loved the passage of time, actually. I was worried that I'd start feeling frustrated with those jumps, but it worked really, really well. I loved Lucy. I loved Noah. It's quite hard to get a sense of like a grand, sweeping, the love of your life kind of romance when you're only getting a snapshot, and these are very clearly like one snapshot every 4 years. There's like 5 of them. But honestly, Annabelle did such a great job. I have like 4 or 5 other Annabelle books on my shelves that I haven't picked up yet, so I'm definitely going to have to do a bit of a blitz because I really liked this one. I ended the challenge so strong. But yeah, guys, those are all the books I read this month. There is a reason I only do this challenge like every 6 months because it's a lot. Honestly, I had a great time. Not all of the books were hits, but that's the whole point of doing a challenge like this. I've said like to my TikTok followers quite a bit. The whole point is that I read very, very fast. I read faster than a lot of other people. And what a challenge like this lets me do and kind of show you is that as a book content creator, what I can do is I can read quantity and then recommend to you quality. If I'm thinking critically about, oh, what's my unique selling point? It's the speed at which I can read so that I can separate the wheat from the chaff for everybody and tell you, oh, like I've done here. Here are 51 books. I'll tell you which ones are worth you getting your hands on and how much it'll cost you to get your hands on them. I really hope you've enjoyed this. You know, I can't believe it's been almost half a year since I did the first one of these and launched this channel. Oh, crazy, crazy times. I know I need to get better at posting regularly to YouTube, but it's a lot of effort. These take a lot of time. This has been a whole month in the working. So yeah, I really, really hope you've enjoyed my video. Let me know if you've read any of these books and if you agree with my opinions on them, or if you're now planning to grab a copy after what I've said about them. I'd love to know if I've been able to inspire you to grab any. Thank you so much for watching. I know this is a long one. It might even have to be up in a couple of parts. And if that is the case, thank you for watching both. Hope you've enjoyed. And as always, keep it bougie, guys, okay? Don't be spending a bajillion pounds getting 1,000 books you're never gonna read, okay? Get the good ones and get them cheap. Never be paying recommended retail price for anything. Always get the book bargains. Oh, thank you so much for spending this time with me. I hope you've enjoyed in this as much as I have. You know, this has been a month of doing what I love, reading romance novels. Wouldn't it be amazing? I'm just pitching this out here, manifesting it into the universe. If I could get sponsored for one of these, like if a particular like publishing house was like, Christy, we will give you some money and give you the free books and read as many as you can in a month. I'd love that. That'd be wicked. It's not gonna happen, but that would be quite nice. I mean, the majority of these books came from the works because, you know, I had to spend my own money on buying them, so they had to come from the works as where they're cheapest. The TikTok shop, because I'm a TikTok shop books insider, I know what books are cheap on there when, or from one influencer event I attended. I cleared house. I came back with a decent amount of books, and I specifically read them as part of this challenge because they were romance novels. It was a romance book event. Why not? Well, I hope you guys have a lovely day. If you could like this video, I would very much appreciate that. And if you haven't already, it would be great to have you subscribe to my channel. I'm not going to promise videos like this often because they do not come around often. These big bougie book talks are infrequent and long. But I am hoping to post shorter videos in my other content sequences with a bit more regularity now. Honestly, it's hard to justify with the small following I have on here at the minute, but I would love to do some bigger, more expansive stuff. It's just my other content channels have more followers, so I'm focusing time and effort there. But I also don't want to leave you guys without any content on here because I love making this stuff. So stay tuned for more. I am doing my best. Thank you so much for watching, guys. I will speak to you later, alligators. Bye for now.